shackles lifted right out of my body and hovered over my body, looking down at myself and looking around.
And as I look sideways, I can see my body laying in the couch.
My body was on the bed.
Head on, and I left my body.
I turned and faced my body, which was hanging from that noose roughly about 30 feet away. And I walked out, and I walked over closer till I was about, maybe 15 feet away so I could get a better look, and sure enough, it was definitely me. And I'm standing there, and I'm thinking to myself, how can I be there and here at the same time? And I look down, and I'm sure enough, I'm wearing the same green t-shirt, the same brown web belt, the same camouflage pants, the same black boots. I even pulled my dog tags out, and I was still wearing them. But it was when I pulled my dog tags out that I dropped them, and I looked at my hand, and I realized that if I stared at my hand, I could see through my hand and see the sand on the ground. And that's when I realized I was dead. And I had been dead and sitting next to my friends for 5 minutes, and then I realized they didn't even know I was there. They couldn't see me.
And I find myself in this big, big, dark place. Dark, dark.
Next thing I knew, I went through the ceiling of the room I was in, and I was transported into a very, very, very black, dark void.
Absolute pitch black darkness.
This was just a place of outer darkness. It was complete darkness. It was nothing but darkness. I couldn't see anything in front of me. I couldn't see my hands in front of me. It remained complete darkness. And I'm talking about thick darkness.
And I'm in complete darkness. I mean, it's a darkness that you could almost feel. I know it sounds weird. It doesn't make any sense, but that's the only way that I can put it. I mean, because this darkness had like a texture to it. And it was complete darkness. It was just solid black.
This blackness, it's just everywhere. It's through me, it's in me, and it's everywhere else. And it's just black, thick, black as black you can never imagine.
I could see and feel and taste the nature of this thing that was closing, and it was black. It was blacker than black, and it was a bottomless pit, and it was closing, and the more it closed in front of me, the more I felt the nature of it. It's more horrible and terrifying and hopeless than I can describe in any human terms.
At that point, I became very scared.
From this moment on, I'm at a very, very, very high level of fear, and it remained that way the entire time. And it wasn't because nothing actually about the experience made it scary. Fear was literally just a part of my being. I could not be nothing but absolutely scared. And I'm talking about scared or fear, like to the point where when somebody just scares you, you get immediately scared. You may burst out, you may yell or something because you're scared, and then it begins to come down. But I'm talking about fear that stays at that level, as if somebody had you just got caught at the highest point of how scared you were, or what fear you had, and that's all that you have the entire time. It doesn't come down.
It's a fear came over me, like it's a fear you can't describe. I mean, I couldn't scream because I was too afraid to scream. It's just like everything, you're in terror, but you cannot speak. So that's how much fear is there. It's just full of fear.
The atmosphere of hell is fear. The fear in me was beyond horrific. When you say I was terrified, that is inadequate to describe the fear that's in hell.
Horror and terror was a part of the elements, the environment.
I started seeing this big, big black tunnel. This tunnel was huge, and I can hear the sound of this tunnel.
Tornado vortex. It was just going round and round. It was a tunnel, spinning horrendously around, just roaring and roaring and spinning and spinning and spinning.
I looked above me, and I saw a big light, but I was falling away from the light, and I was like, what's going on? I started to go faster and faster down this big tunnel.
Instead of being like a tunnel that was horizontal, it was vertical. And I was going straight down. The further I fell, the hotter it got.
And I found myself falling through the air down this long tunnel, and it was getting hotter and hotter.
In the air, it was black, thinning, and I saw people falling out of it. and I don't know what was over that side. But all I know is that it's not going to be nothing nice. If this is hell, it doesn't matter where you land, it's not going to be nice. And then God will show me that all the people that died without Christ, they're coming through, falling straight down into that place where I was, in hell. Simple as that. You know, people say that when they go to heaven, they see a bright light, and you know, when they walk up, it's all bright light. In hell, it's the other way around. It's black darkness. They're spinning around and come flying out.
And I went with the Lord high into the sky. And when we got so high up, there was the world far below, no bigger than a basketball. And then out of the earth came these round brown things that looked like tornadoes. And I said, Lord, what are those? He said, those are gateways into hell.
As I'm beginning to go into the tunnel, halfway into this tunnel, this terrible smell starts to come out of this tunnel. A smell that I wanted to die. This smell was just horrible, horrible. If this smell was on the earth, we would die.
And the stench in hell is so foul and putrid, the worst open sewer you can ever imagine. And the demons themselves have a disgusting foul odor to them, and the smell of burning sulfur.
Next thing I was falling through the sky, and I hit the ground. All these people ran out, and some of them looked like people that were dead that I knew, and other people I knew that were not dead. And they come around me, slapping me on the back, welcoming me there, but something just wasn't quite right with them because they looked weird. They had yellow glints in their eye, and their eyes were almost reptile-like.
Some of them have yellow eyes, green eyes, red eyes. Not beautiful little green, red light like Christmas lights. These eyes were evil, wicked.
It was yellow and diamond shaped like a snake's.
Looked over and I saw what looked like my best friend turn into somebody else. And I said, hey, wait a minute, you can't do that. You're not who you say you are. Who are you? And then all of a sudden I looked around and I go, all these people around me are not people. They began to morph into what they were. They were ugliest creatures I've ever seen. They were distorted and twisted, and they were not perfect by no means. And they're just filthy, smelly creatures.
And I remember seeing these demons. They wouldn't say nothing to me, but they'll look at me and they'll laugh. They were giggling.
See hideous creatures laughing and jeering and pointing at me, and they were screaming, we have him now. And
the voice of a demon said to me, gotcha, you fool, and was laughing at me.
There's demons around me, and they are laughing at me. They're like mocking me.
They had real long fingernails, real powerful, sharp nails, like razors.
They had these long talon-like claws and fangs.
His fingernails were like claws, like really long, sharp claws. You know how things come from like a saber-toothed tiger where it comes down like that? No, these came up like this.
It had where we had our canines. It had two tusks coming up out of its mouth like a boar. Thing was huge. It was built like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime. I mean, just whipped full of muscles. It's like I said, its skin was black and red.
Its skin was red. I remember that. I don't know why his skin was so red, but it was like blood red. He was muscular. He had like a six-pack.
You can feel the hate, how they look at you. You can sense that hate. That hate is so overwhelming that not even a human being in this earth has that kind of hate. It would be overwhelming for us. It automatically explode your heart with such an ugly, overwhelming hate.
They had the most ferocious demeanor about them. They had an extreme hatred for God. They were blaspheming and cursing God. And then they had this hatred they directed towards me.
The hatred I felt at that moment, it was much worse than we can imagine here on earth. Put all the hatreds of all the people and put it in one person. Even then, it was a million times worse.